best decision a man can make is when he decides to leave the nest, to leave his hometown and to change his environment. This is how a man unlocks his full potential. He sees what's possible, what the world has to offer. When you enter a new environment, you can recreate yourself, become a man you always aspired to be. You'll learn new lessons, have new experiences, meet new people. You may be in a place right now where you feel trapped. All you want to do is escape, start living your life. Stop waiting around and make it fucking happen. It will truly change your life.
Woo! Right, lads, long story short, last year, beginning of 2025, I was still working the 9 to 5. I was living under my parents' roof, and I knew that I wanted to make a change in my life. I knew that I didn't want to carry on the trajectory that I was already on. I knew that I wanted to break free, explore a bit of the world. I knew that I wanted to actually level myself up as a man. And what I did, April 1st, is booked a one-way ticket to Marbella. Went there for 3 months, spent some time out there, and then shortly after ended up also going to Asia, so spent some time in Koh Samui, went to Phuket and went to Vietnam as well, and spent some more time out there. So I spent a good 6 months outside of the UK and learnt a lot of lessons, and the first lesson that I learned was your environment shapes your current limits. And this is massive. You've probably heard the term, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it's so, so true. If you are hanging around 5 people who are constantly wanting to go out on the weekends, wanting to drink, wanting to do drugs, and wanting to spend all their wages, not wanting to actually expand, not wanting to grow, not focus on their fitness, you are going to become the average of those people, right? You are going to become another one of those people. But on the other side, if you are focusing on your fitness, your finances, you're hanging around people who are doing the same, you are going to become an average of those people. So it's so, so important, like environment wise, not just with your actual environment, but also with the people you have around you. It is so, so important to cultivate that in a way that's going to help you improve your life as well. The people around you are actually going to make you better, not make you worse. So your environment sets a standard for what you believe is possible. And this is so, so true. And I saw it time and time again. When in the UK, naturally, it's very easy to be quite narrow-minded, like in the sense of like you don't really see the bigger picture. You don't really have that abundance mindset. A lot of people in the UK think in that scarcity. They think in this almost like tunnel vision, this narrow sort of mindset where there's not all this opportunity out there. They always think, okay, no, you've got to hold on to this money because it's going to go. No. You go to these different environments and it really opens up your mindset and it gives you that abundance, right? So, and also, well, the change in mindset you will have because you get opened up to what's actually possible out there. For example, when we went to Marbella, I'd be seeing people who were like, I literally went to a mastermind. So we went to Rob Lips's mastermind. This was in June, I believe, or July, I'm not too sure. But essentially we went there and we were meeting these people who were literally doing like $1 million a month, right? $1 million a month in business. And at the point where we were almost at like 10K a month and we were just thinking like, wow, this is fucking crazy. Like these guys are doing like £1 million a month, and it just opens up your mind to what's possible, because you might see these people on social media but like, oh, that's so far away, but this guy is literally sat at the same event as me, right next to me, and he's making $1 million a month. So it's like, okay, what has this guy got that I haven't? It's time in the game, it's obviously the lessons he's learned, it's all these different things, right? But it really opens up your mind to what can be achieved and what's actually possible, and it's so, so powerful. And it's not just finances as well, it's what can be possible with your life and the type of lifestyle you want to live, the freedom that you want to have, the sort of people you want to have around you, and the different activities, the different businesses, that all the stuff you can do in your life. Basically, it just opens up your eyes, and it's such a powerful feeling when you see it, because when you are almost in that same environment such a long period of time, that's all you think. But as soon as it's really eye-opening. Like you get into that environment, you're like, fucking hell, this is insane. So the people you see every day will normalize certain lifestyles, right? And average environments will produce average results, average expectations. Because if you, like we talked about, are hanging around people who just expect average out of life, then realistically you're going to become one of those people as well. It's like, okay, I'm going to be happy sort of just, or this is all I'm ever meant to be. Like, I don't want to aspire to chase my dream. All I want to do is aspire to work in my office job. I want to just sort of get by and sort of be able to just pay my bills. Like, there's so much abundance out there. You've just got to be able to see it, and sometimes it takes someone else's perspective or changing your environment a bit to be able to see that. So yeah, it's so important to have that. And leaving your hometown will show you entirely different levels of success, discipline, ambition. Like genuinely, like this, the type of guys I was meeting out in Marbella was fucking insane. Like down to the point where, for example, like one day I was at Club Paddle, like banging out a session with the boys, smashing some bench, and then literally next to me is Marcus Rashford just smashing pull-ups, right? Marcus Rashford, probably one of the most well-known footballers at the moment, which is fucking crazy, like probably paid like fucking ridiculous amount as well, but he was just there literally right next to me just smashing out muscle-ups. And this is why it's so important, like environment-wise. Like if you can imagine, you can get yourself in a place where you know, like for example, like HS Tiki Toki, fucking shit like that, he was coming through, like I met Dorian Yates, met like Rob Libsit and was having drinks with him at the mastermind. There's so much that happened, right? But if you can get yourself in those environments, imagine the conversations you can have, imagine the networking you can do, the amount of opportunities that can be provided for you just by having a conversation with one person. And this is why getting yourself in certain environments is so important. This is why I actually will back like networking groups and like masterminds and things where you're actually able to get yourself in those places where you can talk to these people. It is huge. The amount of connections I now have just as a result of being out in Marbella for 3 months is insane. And I'll get into that in a later date. But essentially, leaving your hometown obviously is essential, right? And sometimes the only reason you think something is possible is because no one around you has ever done it. If you're, for example, like you might have said to your parents before about a dream you have, or you'd be like, okay, I want to do this, like with my life. I want to aspire to start this business. I want to aspire to take up this art or whatever it is, right? Because they've never done it before, they're going to obviously be like, oh no, that's risky, or no, you shouldn't do that. Like, let's go down the sort of traditional path that's easy in the way that we went, because that's what they know works. So if you don't aspire to be like someone in their position, then taking advice from them in that sense for you to actually get to where you want to be instead of getting to where they want to be, it's important to realize, okay, you need to learn from people, you need to hear people who have actually done the thing that you want to do, and listening to them as opposed to people who are trying to get you to go the other path. Comfort zones destroy a man's ambition, and it is so true. Like, we need to push outside our comfort zones, and you've probably heard this before from some David Goggins character or from someone else, right? But people don't actually realize how important it is for you to be able to grow. You need to push yourself outside of those comfort zones. Comfort slowly turns into complacency. It turns into you just getting sort of used to the life that you have, the things that you're getting. Like, okay, you know what? No, this isn't so bad. You know what? I've got my car that gets me from A to B. I've got, a job. I've got these look, I'm not saying you shouldn't be appreciative for what you have, right? I think that's a massive thing. But at the same time, you should also be aspiring and have that ambition to want to be better and realize how much more opportunity there is out there. And if you are constantly in a comfort zone, you will never grow and you're never pushing yourself to actually get better. So when life is too easy, you genuinely stop growing because there's nothing forcing you to adapt. You need to push yourself in certain in certain positions that are going to help you grow. Like, for example, like even down to getting into the gym, right? You're trying to build muscle. You need to put your muscle under stress. You need to put it under extreme stress in order for it to adapt and to grow and to get bigger and better, right? And that's exactly the same with yourself. Like, you need to put yourself in certain situations where you're forced to adapt. Like, if you feel awkward, for example, like you might want to be a singer, let's say, like just as a random example, you might want to be a singer. The only way for you to really start testing if you're going to be a singer and if you're really shy is by going out and singing in front of people, right? If you can't do that, then you're not going to be a very good singer and actually be able to produce and be able to perform, right? So you've got to put yourself in certain places that you're going to be able to grow. Like, for myself, I knew that like I wanted to improve in the boxing. When I was out in Spain, I wanted to really improve on that. So what I did is I started training with these guys in Marbella who were proper boxers, and they were show me the ropes. Like, I was really having to push myself outside my comfort zone. Like, I was feeling fucked after some of these sessions, but I needed to push myself in, put myself in that position, because that's how I knew I was going to get better. That's how I knew I was going to grow. So obviously, when life is too easy, you stop growing because nothing is forcing you to adapt. And it's obviously exactly like we talked about. Like, the longer you stay comfortable and the harder it becomes to take risks later. Like, obviously, the more time you spend thinking, okay, this is actually right, this is okay, like, and you just keep going day by day, before you know it, you'll blink and you'll be 50, 60, and you will not be able to look back at your life and you'll be like, holy shit, like, what did I actually do to get better? What did I actually do to change? You had so much opportunity in front of you, but you just didn't push yourself. You just didn't get yourself out of that comfort zone. And I think that's the most important thing. So it's so important to just start taking risks as soon as possible. Now, I'm not talking about doing something fucking crazy straight away, but at the same time, even if you do something like crazy straight away, it's a story to tell. It's something to be like, okay, fuck it, I did it, and what? Like, especially when you're young, right? Obviously, if you're watching this video, you might be in your late teens, you might be in your early 20s, your 30s. If you're in an opportunity where you might not have as many responsibilities, you might not have a family to take care of or anything like that, you are literally sitting on a gold mine right now to be able to just take risks and to just be able to go for it. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, I always say that if your worst case scenario is where you're currently at, then you've literally got nothing to lose. If you are working a job you hate, if you are staying, maybe living under someone's roof that you don't want to be living with, right? If you don't enjoy your current circumstances and you want to break free, then you literally have nothing else to fucking risk. And I always said, like, if I try and travel, if I try and obviously go here, if I try and start a business and I fail, I'm in exactly the same position as everyone else, right? So it's like, okay, what the fuck am I going to lose? Like, most people will just sort of go by, do their 9 to 5s. They'll be in some sort of debt because they're financing cars, getting credit cards, all this debt lined up, right? Because they're trying to live the life. What's the worst that's going to happen to me if I just fucking go and explore the world for a little bit, go try and make this business work? Like, there's nothing to lose from it, and the experiences, the stories that I got from it was insane. So I would highly recommend you just fucking go for it. Like, take some risks, just go for it, and you'll work the rest out later. And I think that's the most important thing about being a man, is you sort of work it out as you go. Being a man is very important to be a problem solver, right? It's to be able to actually go through these situations, and if you hit something along the road, like a bump along the road, you can get around it. You can sort of work it out, and it always works out in the end. Like, I can promise you, like, every time, like, something shit happens, every time something goes wrong, I always say to myself, I'm like, okay, this will work out. And it always does. It always does. So yeah, but obviously men will grow through pressure, challenge, uncertainty, and they're not going to grow through convenience, right? Obviously, it's important to make sure you put yourself in those positions where you are forced to grow. Seek new challenges if you wish to seek new growth. And obviously we touched on it a little bit in that last one, but growth happens when you put yourself in situations where you don't have all the answers. And like we talked about, like, you just have to throw yourself into that sort of pit and then you work it all out, right? You just got to throw yourself into that situation where the only thing you can do is solve it, okay? And that's such a... Pressure is a privilege, and I think it's such a good sort of position to be in. If you can put yourself in those situations where you just have to make it happen, you will make it happen inevitably, right? You will find some way of making it happen, and it's exciting. Like, you're I always say, and we'll get into this later, but your life should be a bit like a movie, right? You should be able to sort of go for these things, just take that sort of risk, take that opportunity, and just go for it and see what happens. And then and even if it doesn't work out, you've got a story to tell. So yeah, travel, go into new places. It's going to force you to solve problems, navigate uncertainty, and rely on yourself. When we were first going out to Marbella, obviously going to all these places, we didn't have a fucking clue where we were. We literally didn't. We've never been to, like, Spain or Marbella before, and, like, as we were going on, like, for example, like, even down to the point where we were walking through town and trying to go to these restaurants, and I did not know a fucking word of Spanish. But by the end of the 3 months, I was picking up on a lot of Spanish. I could be able to order a table. I could be able to order food and not have to worry about it. And be able to ask for fucking, like, simple as asking for the toilet so you can go take a shit. Like, it's obviously so important to be able to push yourself and to be able to get yourself in those situations where you've just got to learn, you've just got to adapt and try and figure it out. And it's exciting. Don't get me wrong, yeah, you might embarrass yourself, you might, like, fuck something up, but, like, that's what it's all about. Like, it's all about obviously making mistakes, fucking failing, and then picking yourself back up again and going for it. And then you sort of work out as time goes on. But every sort of challenge you overcome builds confidence and resilience, right? Obviously, every single time you do something, you're building up that confidence like a muscle, right? And almost like the snowball effect, right? Where you're just constantly building up more and more momentum. And the more you take these challenges, the more you take these risks, the easier they are in the future, the easier they are for you to just be able to, like, oh, you know what, fuck it, let's just go for it. And trust me, like, for myself, like, just as an example, like, with the business, like, we were investing in mentors and we were investing in people who we wanted to help grow the business. Initially, I can remember when I first started, I was investing, I think it was like $1,000 for like a whole 6 month like program. This guy was going to help me grow my business. And then after Marbella, after Asia, we ended up working with this guy who were literally paying like $1,500 every month to try and grow the business. And that's a massive step up. Obviously, that's like literally a fucking 6 times the amount, 7 times the amount of money we were spending. But you open up your mindset, and once you go through these things, these challenges, and you overcome them, then you get the success on the other side. You're like, actually, you know what? Let's fucking do it again. Almost get a bit addicted to it, to be fair, to be taking challenges and to be able to be taking risks and to just going for it. But it's a powerful place to be in, because that's when you've almost got that unstoppable momentum, and it's so important to keep that going. So yeah, and the man you become is shaped by the difficult things you choose to face. And it's so true. Like, if you watch fucking movies, if you watch Maximus Decimus Meridius in Gladiator, he didn't fucking take the easy route. He didn't fucking take the easy way, just sort of live on a farm, like, and just be a farmer. No, he took the hard route. And as a result of that, he became a phenomenal man. He became a man of honor, a man of strength, and someone who was admirable and someone other men looked up to. And this is why it's so important to do the difficult things, because it's not just a challenge for yourself, but also it proves to others your strength. It proves to others what you can do, and shows that you're actually truly capable. And the respect you will get from others just as a result of choosing these hard things and just fucking going for it and making it happen, my God, it's insane. Your identity is tied to who you were in your hometown. And this is something that I found to be so true. Like, in your hometown, people remember who you used to be, not who you're trying to become. When you're, I don't know, maybe in your hometown, like you're a teenager, you're sort of trying to fit in, like through school, you might be going out to parties on the weekends, you might be doing a bit of drugs, just doing some sort of other shit, like, because you're just a teenager, you're just sort of trying new things out. And those people who you're hanging around with back then, they might associate you still with the activities you used to do, but actually you're a completely changed man. And the people who, if for example, like, let's say you go to Asia or you go to Marbella like we did, there's nothing to say that when you go over there, like, no one knows who you are, like, no one knows like who you, like, what you're about, like your past, so you can have a completely fresh start. And I think that's very powerful, because you can, when you're meeting people for the first time, you can really set the frame of, okay, I'm this guy, like, and they don't know who you used to be, so they don't have that first. They always say, like, we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but we do. It's human nature, right? Unfortunately. So being able to recreate yourself and be able to be that guy who people can, like, be like, oh wow, this guy's impressive, and having that first impression is so powerful, and it's quite a refreshing thing to be. And I know for myself it was. I grown up in Salisbury for years and years and years. Like, I knew that I always wanted to escape. I knew that I always wanted to just get out of there, because the people who I sort of associated with were still doing the same sort of shit that I didn't want to be doing. I knew that I wanted more out of life. I knew that I wanted to do different things, see new parts of the world, actually take some fucking risks, meet like better people, new people. So yeah, but I think it's so important to just be able to sort of fucking leave your hometown and just sort of recreate yourself. I think that's the most important thing. New cultures give you new perspectives, and honestly, this is so true. Like, when I was going to Marbella, obviously, when you go there, when you go to Port Banús, you're seeing people with supercars, yachts, like, constantly got the Rolexes on, and obviously you're surrounded by all of this wealth, right? And you will see that, and you'll be like, wow, this is insane, like, this is what I want. But then, for example, you'll go to Asia, where we'll be going to Phuket, we'll be going to Koh Samui, and you will literally see a family of 5 on, like, one moped or something like that, right? But they will be smiling, they'll be happy as anything. So, but obviously the people in Marbella, like, some of them might be fucking miserable, even though they've got all this stuff. So those sort of changes of perspectives are very important, because it teaches you to obviously still strive for more, but also appreciate what you have and realise, like, you can have the both. So it's so important to sort of have those different perspectives there to sort of teach you new lessons and to sort of change your perspective on things. But different cultures will challenge your assumptions, your beliefs, and your priorities. Like we talked about, like, obviously you are seeing these different people where like for example, like in Asia, like it was very much big on like family and being very courteous. Like a lot, I don't think I met anyone in Asia who I thought was a dick or who I thought wasn't very friendly, wasn't very like everyone out there was so lovely. Like they were very like smiley, like obviously always saying thank you, and like it was just very refreshing. It was a very nice environment. Everyone was very nice, but sometimes you get like the occasional person in Marbella, like who maybe has been surrounded by all this sort of wealth and all this sort of status and fame and all this shit, and it's gone to their head, and then they might not be as nice of a person. So it's just having these sort of different things, and you can see the different priorities in different people's lives. But I think seeing that makes you a better person as well, because it makes you be able to reflect on what in your life is truly important, and you will learn to adapt, to communicate, and to understand people outside of your bubble. Like we talked about a second ago, like with language, for example, like just picking up different languages, like little bits of people's languages, their culture. I think it's so important because like all these lessons, all these things you learn, like for example, like even if you go back to your hometown, like you've then got like so many lessons, so many stories you can talk about. Like even if, for example, like, you might meet someone Thai, like for example, I might meet someone from Thailand, in the UK, like who's like a business guy, right? And he might be from Thailand. And I can now speak about all the experiences, all the people, all the sorry places we went, and I can make those connections with him. And this is why it's so important to see these different places, because you have so many stories to tell, and especially when it comes to networking, when it comes to obviously like setting yourself up, giving yourself more opportunities, being able to say you've done all this stuff is so important. And obviously, the broader your perspective, the smarter your decisions become. So obviously, when you can really take a step back and you can really see the bigger picture on things, you're able to make much better decisions, if that makes sense. Like you're able to sort of be able to take a step back. Because sometimes it's very easy for us to get caught in our own world, right? It's very easy for us to be like this, like we talked about, like that sort of narrow mindset, only see the problem in front of us, and take it, instead of taking like a step back and being able to be like, okay, wow, all right, this is what we have here. This is the best sort of move on the chessboard. This is the best thing to do right here. So let's go do that. So I think it's very good to sort of have those changes in perspectives, because it really opens up your mind, and it does make your decision making and the way you sort of navigate life a lot easier. The thing you've got to realise, guys, is we are all writing our own story. You've got to ask yourself, like, if your life was a movie, what would the people on the other side of the screen be shouting at the character to do? And I think that was a Chris Williamson quote, who basically was saying about how obviously your life is a movie. Like if you could be shouting at yourself, just do that thing, then fucking do it. Like I'll sit on calls with some guys with coaching sometimes, and obviously they might be sort of apprehensive, whether they're really willing to invest in themselves and their fitness and their health and their mindset. And I'll just say to them, I'll be like, okay, well, 6 months down the line, what would you be screaming at yourself when you are in great shape, when you are looking your absolute best, feeling confident, having all these experiences, meeting these people, having this mindset change? What would you be screaming in 6 months' time to yourself right now? You wouldn't be thinking, oh, maybe I should do this, or maybe I should. No. You just fucking go for it, because you realize the improvement in your life, and you realize how much of a change things could make by just fucking going for it, just taking that step, not being afraid to just go for it. Like it's so important, and you genuinely have got to look at, I mean, obviously everyone's lives are going to be different, right? You might want different things. You might want to just settle down with a family, have a more of a steady life, and if that's your dream, fucking go for it. But if you want to be able to travel, you want to be able to sort of have all these different experiences, have this like great life, then obviously being able to just go for it is so important, and being able to look back. And like the way I see it is, when I'm like when I'm hopefully 70, 80 years old, 90 years old, laying on my deathbed, I want to be able to look back, and I want to be able to flick through this book and think about all the memories, all the great times I had. I don't want to be thinking, oh, I wish I just did that, or I wish I just did this, or I wish I just gone for that, travelled more, seen more people, gone for that business idea. I don't want to be living in regret, right? And you shouldn't be either. So all those times where you think about not doing something, all those times where you may be scared or embarrassed, just fucking go for it. Because at the end of the day, guys, like in 100 years' time, everyone around you, including yourself, are going to be gone off this earth. And at the end of the day, we all get one life, so just fucking go for it. And it's so important. So honestly, like the best stories come from taking risks, exploring, chasing opportunity. Like even if it doesn't work out, fuck it, you've got a story to tell. And especially, like I said, if you are younger, like, for example, I'm 24 at the moment. if I went and made a fucking crazy risk or took a crazy risk, went and just did something outrageous, if I spend a year trying to do something and it fails, I'm then only 25 years old. Like 25 years old, like what the fuck? When you're especially young, you've got so much time to fuck things up. But also as well, like if you can spend a year really giving something a good go, fucking going for it, like even if it does fail, you've got an amazing story to tell, and also a different perspective and different sort of lessons you've learned throughout that as well. So it's important to just sort of give it a good go travel, go see the world, go and just recreate yourself and become a man that you want to be. Like I say, like if you see yourself becoming that guy who just travels the world, who really capitalizes on the opportunities he has in front of him, and who just lives his life to the fullest, then be that fucking guy. Like if you see these people on Instagram, you see these people on TikTok or YouTube or even in films, and you aspire to be like them, then just start making the decisions they would make, right? So yeah, it's important to realise, guys, your life is a story, and staying in the same place will write a very small one. So fill your life full of experiences and good things, and I can promise you guys the amount of opportunities, the amount of things that will come your way just as a result of leaving your hometown, just as a result of getting out of where your current environment is, it will completely change your life, and it will completely change your perspective, just as it has done mine. But I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. There's going to be a lot more to come, and I will see you in the next one.